There we go. Now I've wet my whistle. Oh, yours sounds nice and juicy.
Yeah, it's been ready.
Okay. Sorry for saying your whistle's juicy. That kind of sounds like a dirty thing
sex
that would have
thing.
been in a song in the 2000s.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 3. I know you already did this, but I'm your co-host, Joe.
And I am your co-host, Co.
I won't just give it a clean take that way.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. This
Yeah.
really is Season 3, everybody.
Really, for real, we're not shooting you about it.
It's kind of wild to think that we've done 2 seasons of this already.
Yeah. But we can't reminisce about it because we did that last episode.
That's right. So here we're just starting with new content, everybody.
Yeah.
Right from the get. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
We're
whatever.
ready to get started.
I shouldn't say whatever. I am happy. Happy New Year, everybody. It's a good opportunity to try some new stuff, try new habits, all that kind of stuff. And
New Year.
Even if some stuff doesn't work out permanently, good on you for trying.
Old me.
New Year, old you is your motto.
Yes.
That's fine. Old you's pretty cool.
Thanks.
I fell in love with the old you.
Aw.
Oops.
Shall we do our little gratefuls?
Yes, we should.
Shall we go at the same time?
Yeah. Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Because I'm pretty sure it's the same thing.
Wait, no, I'm going to be more specific about mine then. So you go first, and then I'll do mine.
Well, we're both very grateful for the end of Stranger Things Season 5.
Yeah,
the
that's
finale.
true. Definitely.
That's my little grateful, is that I'm just so happy. We got the ending we loved, the ending we all deserved, and I'm so content and heartbroken that it's over.
I know, right? Me too.
I think it's been a little grateful, for the past 3 episodes.
Yeah, for real. I mean, yeah, to be honest, we haven't recorded an episode in about a month, so we watched basically the whole thing since then.
Yeah.
And we said we were going to come back, and this would count as a whole different thing. And I'm going to do my little grateful as an even more discreet thing from that.
Yeah, more just, I can already imagine what it is.
It's being able to love something regardless of online, I guess, negativity.
Yeah.
Or just the online conversation, the meta conversation that's happening about something. Because something that happened when we were watching this season of Stranger Things was that a lot of people were super, super down on it. Mm-hmm. And I did some digging, and it turned out that a lot of that was being amplified by some not so great voices that were contributing to kind of a bandwagoning effect where people were making accusations about the story of the show that were oh, you didn't even watch it, or you weren't paying close enough attention and stuff like that. And it got to be so much that I was this is gonna affect my enjoyment of the show if I keep.
I feel like it totally did.
Well, luckily I went through that between when
Volumes.
Yes, exactly. Between before the finale came out. Mm-hmm. So I was able to go through my whole process of seeing that, figuring out what was going on, and then also reminding myself that even though it seems wow, 50,000 people went online and gave this a 1-star review, it sounds like a lot of people, but you have to remember that Stranger Things is watched by millions and millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
And the people who are passionate enough to go online and give it a 1-star review, I mean, they're far outweighed by the amount of people who are just sitting there enjoying it. So
yeah.
I stopped feeling so alone once I had that realization. Just that the online space is just an echo chamber, and being able to distance myself from that and being able to truly enjoy the finale completely in spite of all that was very satisfying. And I'm very grateful to have been able to do that.
That's awesome.
And I'm very sorry if anyone else was not able to do that, if that affected them in the same way it was affecting me. But maybe try again with fresh eyes and remember that the vast majority of people were very okay with watching the show pleasantly.
Yeah. Thankfully, my feed was very Stranger Things positive, so.
Yeah, that's cool. We are in very different online spheres.
Yeah.
I need to not go for art and entertainment opinions to the place where I go for news and science stuff.
Anyway, those are our little gratefuls.
My big, yeah, they turned pretty big this time. Sorry.
And today we're going to be talking about
Yes.
the misuse of therapy language or therapy speak.
Yes.
We've kind of like hinted at it a few times because I don't know, I just see it all the time. I figured we'd just have a whole dedicated episode to talking about it. You know, really it's just the idea of like defining and separating a little bit the clinical terms, which we talk about, versus like social slang. And this has been true for like honestly decades, but TikTok has really like been a catalyst to it being just openly used even more so.
And we're saying, when we say TikTok, we really mean like all
Social
media, but TikTok is like hugely popular with the youth, so that we're focusing on that.
Yeah, I mean, there is also like, I think TikTok as a platform also has its own level.
It has its own ecosystem,
Yeah.
separate from other social media.
Yes. And also there's like a TikTokification of things, which I think therapy speak kind of falls into as well.
Oh, say a little more about TikTokification.
Like, I don't know, TikTok just does something to certain things. It like makes it brain rotty, you know? It's like
okay.
it leads it there.
Got it.
I feel like long story short, it turns it into mush.
I feel like long story short should be like the tagline of
TikTok. Maybe. But yes, essentially, right, we're trying to differentiate the difference between therapy language or therapy speak as like the vocabulary of psychology, which we use in a therapeutic setting, terms like gaslighting or enmeshment or OCD, right?
Yeah, totally.
Versus like misusing it, misattributing these terms is kind of always trending on social media. Like I said, from when I was in college, I remember people being like, "Oh, she's so bipolar," you know,
totally,
like that was, I feel like, happening then too. So there are obviously misconceptions, right? Like they are being misused some of the time, right? So a good example is like gaslighting. Gaslighting is something very specific and very different from simply lying. People can often use the term gaslighting to describe any lie or disagreement, whereas clinically it really is a specific systemic form of psychological manipulation designed to make someone really question their sanity. So it's not this disagreement between what I believe or what you believe, or you know, my recollection of this memory versus your recollection of this memory. It's a systemic form of manipulation, right? With the intention of causing someone to doubt their reality, their sense of self. And yeah, it's pretty effective. We talked about it a lot more during our narcissist episode back in season something 1.
Yeah. I was going to say this for the end. Maybe I still will, but I want to run it by you really quick. Back here, the number 2 one is like a really clear-cut example of like what you're talking about right now.
Should we just go through it right now then? Because I feel like it's relevant.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
May I?
Yeah.
Okay, to give an example of the difference between like two people having a different recollection of something and like actual gaslighting and what gaslighting is, let's think of a scenario. You and your partner are arguing about who's supposed to take the trash out. And you say, "I'm pretty sure you said you'd do it this morning." And they respond, "I never said that. You're gaslighting me right now by trying to rewrite history." That's not really gaslighting. Actual gaslighting would look more like this. You clearly remember standing in your kitchen on a Tuesday evening and frustratedly asking your partner to take the garbage out. And you tell them that you remember that. And they respond with what we call the 3 Ds: deny, distract, and devalue. So they say, "I never said that. You're making things up. We didn't even talk in the kitchen on Tuesday. Honestly, it's scary how much you're misremembering things. Is work getting to you? I'm worried you're having some kind of a breakdown. Even if I had said it, which I didn't, you're acting insane over a plastic bag. You're so sensitive and dramatic." So in that response, you have denying, "I never said that." You have distracting, "Is work getting to you?" And you have devaluing, "You're acting insane over a plastic bag."
Yeah, stop being sensitive and dramatic. Like,
Yeah.
So as y'all can see, that's a very clear-cut example of what gaslighting actually is versus like, originally where I do feel like I see this a lot on both social media and honestly, like it has trickled into both personal life and with my clients, I'll hear them say like, "Oh, it's very gaslighty,"
Yes.
or like very narcissistic-y, or ish, and like it's still kind of labeling the behavior.
Yeah, it's pathologizing a behavior.
Yes, which we're going to talk about too, because that's another thing that often happens too in the social media realm when it comes to therapy speak is, yeah, exactly that. I mean, which I'm going to talk about right now. Similar to like the algorithm knows me, right? Like this idea where like if you're scrolling or if you see something on TikTok or Instagram Reels, and you see something that is like particularly relevant to your mental health, you might find that it does highlight some of your symptoms, but is not a differential diagnosis. It does not know confounding variables of your life. It is not a substitute to an actual diagnosis. Like, I say this a lot of the times to clients in general too, is that like neurodivergency, mental illness, I don't know, our human psyche it's all going to be at some point, relatable. It's all human experience. We've all experienced times where we felt overstimulated. Does that mean we have autism? That we've all experienced time where we've lost our keys. Does that mean we have ADHD? Right. We can all be certainly particular about certain things in our lives. Does that mean we have OCD? Like it completely pathologizes these very normal human behaviors, and we start to categorize them into these pretty heavy labels. And so it does one of two things, right? It not only does it stick someone, right, with like these heavy labels, and categorizes you, puts you in these boxes, but then it also devalues what those boxes actually are, right? Like what OCD actually is, what autism actually is, what gaslighting actually is. And so it kind of convolutes the whole thing. But yeah, that's like another misconception in where, yeah, like I've found a lot of people find solace online, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those nuances too, but it is a slippery slope.
And of course, that is one of the biggest things that's impacted by intersectionality. Intersectionality is, we talked about this in our diagnosis episode a little bit, which was in, I think, episode 11, season 1. But just like people have different access to care. Like there are things called provider deserts where basically like, if you've heard the term food desert, which is a place where people don't have access to like fresh produce and stuff like that. Their only access to groceries is like Dollar General. A provider desert is a similar idea for healthcare. All you have access near you is some sort of like catch-all urgent care or whatever clinic. For specialized care, you have to go hella far away. So access to care is like a huge barrier for a lot of people, especially like mental health care. There are places where mental health care is just like, there are no options. And so self-diagnosis is like your only option because you have fallen through the cracks of the medical system.
And like we kind of had this, I don't know if we had it on the podcast. I think you and I have had this conversation of like why people might use ChatGPT, for example, as a therapist. And I think it's kind of like that similar reason, right? Because you can be in a provider desert. You might only have the option to consult with the internet. And a lot of people might find, like I said earlier, like solace, comfort, universality there. It can be a really positive thing for many people, but like I said, it's just such a slippery slope. I say this for both the ChatGPT and like self-diagnosing. I think it's still important to, if you can't find a provider, like find reputable sources, right? Accounts that come from people who are licensed and know what they're talking about. And then also like in your own life too, right? Like have friends, have a support system, have a partner, have people in your corner who are going to call you out if it need to be, or like, provide you with alternative perspectives. Because I think very quickly our algorithms can be an echo chamber as well. Like you had mentioned earlier, it's like very easy for that to happen. So that's why I think it's just so vital, regardless, to have like a rich social support system if you are going to use the internet as a tool.
Yeah. And to go back to what you were saying about ChatGPT, the reason why that doesn't make a great therapist is because ChatGPT is quite literally programmed to be very affirming to whoever uses it, no matter what you put in as far as like pre-instructions, anything. It's meant to, for the most part, agree with you or find an alternative that fits what you are talking about. That's not what a therapist does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how is that different from what a therapist does, if you could speak on that?
I mean, I actively get to know my clients on a personal level, which allows me to give them recommendations that are actually relevant to their life, that they're going to like and actually use. It allows me to recognize moments where I need to challenge them and offer a different perspective. It allows me to know when to encourage them,
Mm-hmm.
right? When to bring in other ancillary providers or supports. It is not this one size fits all, yes, 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 echo chamber. Like, I have disagreements with clients sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there are times where I'm sure my clients find me annoying, you know, or hard to talk to because like it's hard work what we're doing in there.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience with using ChatGPT, you know, just exploring that as therapy has been so surface level.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would totally agree with that. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about ChatGPT as a therapist.
Yeah, same. I think, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want, I mean, if what you want is just like a yes man, then a therapist is not what you're looking for.
No. And I think, I mean, if I can speak on that quickly, sometimes I do have clients that come in looking for a yes man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not what I do. And I think sometimes that can be really hard if you're not ready to understand that like therapy is hard work and that like you can be challenged and you can be wrong or you would have to do things differently. It's like, you know, the messenger gets what's the saying?
Shoot the messenger? Wait.
Yeah, like, because if I'm the one challenging them and they weren't expecting to be challenged in therapy, even though that's what therapy is,
Yeah.
like, I'm the one who gets the axe. I get fired, essentially.
Yeah, they blow up at you, they fire you, whatever.
Yeah, or they ghost me.
Yeah. Oops. Therapy got hard for a second.
Which, like, again, like, it's kind of part of the gig.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I try to be mindful of people's timing, people's pace.
Mm-hmm.
The better I get to know people, the better I am at knowing that. But I get it wrong.
I shouldn't have said therapy got hard. That was very dismissive. There are lots of reasons why that might happen.
Yeah.
Going back to the intersectionality conversation, we've talked about this before, kind of centered on this idea that psychology and therapy was invented by white men for white men.
Mm-hmm.
Research and like historic research has been done by white men about white men.
Yep.
So, for example, stuff like ADHD and autism, all of the research that we have about that stuff has based on a foundation that is just about white male presentations of those disorders.
Yep.
And I mean, we know now that autism presents differently in assigned female at birth people versus assigned male at birth people. And same goes for ADHD and all these different things. And now what we're left with is a huge deficit on one side and a huge underdiagnosis on the one side.
And that's part of a therapist's job too. I mean, I don't know about all therapists, but I had training and classes dedicated to this exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, essentially in my eyes, like, I kind of view it as translating these things that, were made by white men for white men and translating them in a way that's applicable to non-white men.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is both like tangible ways of like learning different cultures, learning how different people experience certain things, what's important to other populations, you know, like just tangible knowledge, you know? But then the other part too is like, I don't know, for me at least, it's like, dare I say practice? Practice. Yeah. I mean, essentially like practicing cultural humility, knowing that I don't know everything in the room. I always say this to my clients that they're the expert and like being humbled by what they're telling me and having that be the priority. But yeah, like I said, I get it wrong sometimes.
It's cool. humility is an important part of your practice.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think absolutely humility has to be part of my practice, and should be.
Feels like it would be pretty hard to be a therapist without some amount of humility, but I know there are those out there who do it.
Sure. Absolutely, they do.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to, because we already talked about pathologizing language.
Practical application?
Yeah, let's do some practical applications. The is this helpful filter. Does labeling this behavior help me, or is it just give me a way to dismiss other people? And the thing that I think about with this is like when people label things as like an autistic behavior or something versus just like a human trait. Like it's an autistic behavior if a person with autism is doing it, I suppose. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I can't help but think of like that first episode of Bob's Burgers.
oh yeah, with the toothpicks on the ground.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, it obviously does openly make fun of autism.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it comes from that kind of rhetoric of this idea of like there are these traits that are, yeah, like
Shorthand.
yes,
Is this shorthand helpful? Is this stereotype helpful? Yeah. Is this label for this helpful?
and I think that's an important thing to practice when you're scrolling social media. Fine, I think it's still important to practice even when you have or when you have a formal diagnosis or when you have the opportunity to get a formal diagnosis, you know, still asking yourself, like, what am I gaining from seeking this out, from, you know, obtaining this report that says I have XYZ, you know,
Yeah.
or because I think too, sometimes I have clients coming in who are like eager to find or eager to get a certain diagnosis. And I have to ask them, like, why is this helpful to you? Like, is this helpful to you? And sometimes it absolutely is. Like I'm not at all negating that there is a ton of value and
Validation.
yes, in validating that, like, cool, what I've been experiencing has a name and other people have experienced and it's well documented and well researched and
I have this keyword. I can find other communities.
right. Like that it does make a world of difference. But I think that again, all of that is a very slippery slope because not all human behavior is pathological.
Yeah. That's true.
And if you're trying to find an answer to simply just human behavior, like you're gonna find it. Like I say this to my client, I'm like, you're gonna find if you want a certain diagnosis, you're gonna get it. Like
Yes.
you can get it, you're gonna get it, you can find it. But like, I'm more interested in why though. You know, is it because this behavior or this, you know, symptom impacts your life in this way or impacts your functioning in a way that you don't like or that you wish were different or that is impeding your ability to do anything, you know, do whatever, then okay, yeah, cool. But if it's, I don't know, I feel like it's this kind of like explain away kind of mentality of like, I have the answer and having the answer is going to make it better.
Yeah. Or open up some doors or something.
And that's not always the case.
Yeah. Yep. Especially for adults.
And also, like, especially for adults and especially if you are motivated to do it. Because I think, yeah, you might be diagnosed with OCD, let's say. But if you're not taking medication or going to therapy or practicing, you know, for example, exposure therapy, which is very hard for people with OCD to practice, like, what does it matter?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's kind of a hard truth, but it's worth asking. It also kind of leads me into this other applicable technique is like before, like if you're using like TikTok diagnosing, if you're using online for self-diagnosis and stuff, before you pick out your label and you affix it to yourself, try to track like specific behaviors or feelings. And like that data over time is much stronger evidence
Yeah.
that you have whatever you think you have.
Like, I feel like that goes back to this idea of like the client is the expert. You know, like if you are the expert, if you do collect that data, like you have, you're a wealth of knowledge for
Yes.
both yourself and your provider.
Yeah. It reminds me of like when I started to suspect that I had autism And just like before I told anyone, I mean, other than you, I told you that I thought maybe that was the case. But before I told anybody else, it was years of just like learning and tracking how frequently these things were happening and, you know, sort of like looking at the trajectory of my life through that lens and like, oh, certain things start to make sense, like all that kind of stuff. Taking data continuously, health related data, all that stuff was instrumental in making me feel secure in this diagnosis.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that like the more time you spend with yourself, which is another thing I constantly tell my clients regardless, is like get to know yourself.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Right.
I think in terms of like getting to know yourself, I think like you said before, like a label almost feels like a shorthand to get to know yourself if you're unsure about yourself, but it's not. You can't take a shortcut to get to know yourself.
Mm-hmm. And like, and exactly that, right? Like at that point, when you do know yourself, it's not like you need a diagnosis, you know, in those kind of ways. Like you might need one for like accommodations or, you know, whatever else, but like, it's not like you need it in the same kind of psychic way.
And like that kind of really leads into our next one, which is that like having this curiosity over this certainty and like holding a flexibility for it, and just knowing that like not everyone with X condition presents in the same way, and this label doesn't define you. It's important to not just like grab this label and then use it to define you permanently, because like it is just a label.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that leads right into like this idea of like being curious over certain, or I call it like being curious over judgment or judgy. That like the label is useless if you don't know what's under it, right? Like,
Right.
So get curious on yourself. Well, why am I doing these things? Or why, you know, why do I enjoy this over that? You know, the label will be there or not be there regardless. You know, the meat and potatoes is that part.
Yes. I can't tell you, okay, this is not a mental health related thing, but just to tell like a little story. I can't tell you the number of times I've told people like that I have IBS, and then I describe to them like what my experience with IBS is. How many people have looked at me and been like, that's something else. Like, despite me having a doctor's diagnosis and stuff, like they think they know what IBS is better than somebody who has it and their doctor. Like
That's approaching something with judgment
yeah.
and certainty. Like, I already know what that is.
Yeah. So like the rest of the world is going to do that for you. So like this label, if it's like a self-assigned label, protect it. Like your heart, protect your heart. And protect your heart, kids.
Yeah. 'Cause people, including ourselves, approach a lot of things with judgment over curiosity.
Yes. And like listen to our diagnosis episode again, but basically like a diagnosis is like scientists' way of grouping a lot of people who are actually quite different from each other into big giant groups.
Yeah.
And so like your label could not possibly define you if you think about it that way.
And it shouldn't. I mean, like it really is for different purpose, right? For the purpose of consulting and discussing treatment or you know, research.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if we were imagine if I don't know, if you had to differentiate yourself from every other person with depression, like that is not a good qualifier. Like I don't know, if someone was like in this room, like raise your hand if you have depression, it's like, I don't know, it's like that is not going to separate me from very many people.
Right, exactly. And of course, we've been saying diagnosis. We are talking about specifically mental health diagnosis.
Yes.
To reiterate.
Yes.
Yeah, man, totally. Shall we talk about overcoming some obstacles?
Because there are definitely obstacles, as we have discussed.
Yeah, I mean, we talked at length about them. The biggest one is like the transition from a TikTok diagnosis to a real diagnosis is like the cost, the time, the effort of actually going to a real, like a professional who can do that for you. That's like so hard. One thing that you can do that can really help you so that you're not wasting your time at like a lot of different places is like using self-screening tools. So you can find these online. I'm going to tell you exactly how to Google this. But there are a number of what would you call it? Evidence-based, totally accepted in the field screeners for a number of different disorders.
Like depression inventories and
Yes.
anxiety inventories and
Multiple choice
they are
questionnaires.
self-report.
Yes. They're screeners, not
Yes.
diagnostic tools.
Yes.
They help you know that maybe it's time to see someone who can diagnose you.
Yeah. And we have them on our client portals, like
Yes.
any of our clients can request some of these screeners. They are just
actually-
kind of like a jumping off point.
A number of them are actually public domain. So I just found that out right before we jumped into the recording booth. But a lot of these I'm going to try to make available on our website absolutely free. So I'm not sure on the timeline on that, but I am committing to doing that. But basically, to know what I'm kind of talking about, you can just Google GAD7. That's General Anxiety Disorder 7. So just GAD7 and click on the link from the website MD Calc. It should be the very first link. And it's an interactable questionnaire, the GAD7. And at the very bottom, it can tell you, after you fill it out, what level of anxiety
You're
are
screening at.
experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're screening at. And there's another one for depression. Yeah, there's the PHQ-9. You can do the same thing. You can Google that. Go to the same website. These are free. They're really, really valuable tools for validation. If you feel like you're really depressed and like you don't know what to do and like you're in a wait list or whatever, getting this screener can feel really helpful. And also, if you do it, you take it with you to the appointment that you're waiting for. That's great stuff for your professional, whoever you're seeing.
Absolutely. That kind of information is crucial. I think especially for clients who maybe are at the beginning of their journeys or don't know how to communicate what they're experiencing because they just haven't had that experience yet.
Yeah, they don't know the vocabulary. They don't know where to start.
Right. These types of things are really, really helpful. And like I said, can be a really leg up to just kind of get a good baseline.
Yeah, take it. Even if you're not feeling anxious or depressed, just try one out and then show somebody how easy it is. Because they're amazing. They're amazing and free.
And free.
Yeah. So I had a couple different ideas for some little activity we could do here at the end. Got a little extra time here.
Sure.
I have some ideas for like some scenarios that are kind of like centered around the misuse of therapy language and like if it's like cool or if it's not cool. What do you think about that?
Yeah, let's do a few of them.
The other option is I checked that this is legal. I could read through the GAD7 and to just like a verbal thing, but that doesn't sound as exciting. Okay. Scenario 1. Should I introduce this segment? This segment is called Vibe Check. Scenario 1. You have plans to go to a concert that you've been looking forward to for weeks. 2 hours before, your friend says, "Hey, I'm feeling really dysregulated and my social battery is at 0. I need to honor my capacity and stay home. Hope you understand." Is that, green flag, yellow flag, red flag kind of situation? What are we looking at here?
Yeah. I mean, there is clear use of therapy speak.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
The dysregulation, the honoring my capacity, the even like social battery, I feel like is a little bit heady.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they don't seem to be really misusing much.
I know. I don't think that they're misrepresenting, but I do feel like, I don't know, there is an extra weight.
Yes. Okay. That is something that I felt too. Where like, because you're saying all this stuff, it makes it feel like you can't say anything back to them.
I can't be like, what the f***?
Yeah,
like, we've been planning this for weeks.
Yeah,
like you should have taken a nap or something.
Exactly. Literally in the scenario, we've been planning this for weeks, yo. It bums me out.
It bums me. And that's valid too. And I think that the hope you understand kind of like puts a period at the end and it's like,
psh, bye.
Yeah.
Over and out.
Yeah. So it is a little bit of like a yellowish flag, maybe, I think it's fine if you need to cancel because you're just not there. cool, but like
Don't lay it on so thick that somebody can't respond.
Right. Like know that there might be consequences,
Yeah.
you know, that you are letting someone down.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Shall I give you another scenario?
Please.
I'm not sure if I'm going to go with scenario or scenario.
You figure that one out.
Scenario. You see a TikTok that says, if you hate putting away laundry, it's actually an executive dysfunction, symptom of ADHD. Here is my neurodivergent friendly hack. Just live out of the basket. What do we think about that one?
Well, this is very similar to what we were talking about earlier about like pathologizing normal behavior. Like who freaking likes to do laundry?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't think anybody does.
Yes.
Like I'm sure my sister, who I would say is maybe the only person who maybe likes laundry, has like a sign in her laundry room that says laundry sucks. And
never seen that.
So,
that's funny. But yeah, I mean the TikTok said if you hate putting away laundry, it's actually an executive dysfunction symptom of ADHD.
Right.
It's not actually that.
I mean,
you don't like the laundry.
It could be part of that for someone.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not like a one-to-one thing.
Exactly. And this is the exact kind of reels and TikToks that I see. It's like, yeah, this very normalized thing is suddenly like, you have ADHD, you have autism.
Yes. No wonder everyone's like, doesn't everyone have a little bit of this?
Yes.
It's like, because of stuff like this, that's why they think that.
Exactly. Because again, like neurodivergency or like the spectrum of our mind is vast. And like, again, we've all experienced some corners of that spectrum.
Yes. This vast myriad of spectrums.
Spectrum of spectrums.
All right, here we go. You call a friend. I need to wet my whistle again. Oh, it's turning to dust. Okay. You call a friend because you're having a really hard day. Before you can even start, they say, I'm currently in a season of healing, and I don't have the emotional labor to hold space for your trauma today. Please consult your support system. That's not good.
It's like
it's the coldest response.
And that's okay. You know what? I think that's the thing about therapy speak is that like it sounds good, but it feels horrible.
It's clinical. Yeah. Like clinical is not a good adjective to use for like the way you talk to people.
Yeah. And like, again, like it sounds good. Yeah, sure. You know, like I get you're in your healing season and I should maybe consult my support group, but you're also freaking part of that.
You can keep it to yourself that you're in your healing season. That's actually not relevant to this conversation.
To that particular conversation. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, you wrote down that it sounds like an email from the HR department.
Yeah, it does.
Not a friend.
Yeah. How about like, hey, I'm having a kind of a tough day. Is it okay if we talk tomorrow?
Yeah, can I call you back later tomorrow, the next week?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Something just came up. I'm having kind of a crazy day over here.
Because again, like similar to the first one with the social battery, like it's valid. You're allowed. Yeah. You're allowed these things, but like
they came to you with the same thing
seconds
ago.
And like, I don't know why it makes me think of like Effect and Cause.
The song?
Yeah, like this idea of like you can't blame the reaction. You know what I'm saying?
You can't blame the action on the reaction.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I would have never gotten there.
Shall we move on to the next scenario?
The lost
scenario. Not the lost scenario.
It's lost.
This is number 5, the lost scenario. A friend is talking about their ex who was selfish and never wanted to go to the movies they liked. Okay, sorry. I apologize that some of these are extremely trivialized. That's for effect. Never wanted to go to the movies they liked. They say he was a total narcissist. Been watching videos on narcissistic abuse, and he definitely had narcissistic personality disorder, NPD.
Yeah, it's like, okay, NBD. You're not a therapist. Like, really, you know about cluster B disorders?
It's so easy to diagnose yourself. It's just a unique challenge to diagnose somebody else.
And again, this is not to devalue or invalidate the experiences that you might have had with people who were manipulative or who were jerks and selfish. But does that Yeah, that's just not the same as like a whole ass diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah. And also, like, popular media would have you believe that there's a lot more narcissists out there than there are.
Yes,
People
yes.
can have narcissistic traits and not be a literal narcissist.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. There are criteria. You have to meet certain criteria in order to get a diagnosis. So if this lady, you know, I'm not even going to go there. She couldn't have.
And I'm sorry, narcissists don't need defending, but I can't just be I have to be, I have to defend everybody.
You have to defend the system.
Yeah, exactly.
The broken system.
The broken system. Defend everyone from the broken system.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully that helped y'all kind of see some of the examples that we've encountered and some of the frustrations that I as a provider encounter. But I'm sure that some of y'all have experienced as well as just being a human being living on this earth in 2026.
I thought that was pretty representative of some rando TikTok feed.
I think so too.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's what we had for y'all today in this new year, new season.
Welcome to season 3. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Once again, this is Purple Friends, and I'm Co, and that's Joe. And just as a reminder, we have a website. Go to vibetherapyservices.com. All this stuff is in our button at the end, so I don't know why I'm saying it. But I just want everybody to know that we really appreciate you coming and listening.
Thank you so much.
We've
got a lot of cool stuff on our site, so go check it out.
Yeah, check it out. And soon to be more cool stuff. We love you.
Love you.
Okay, love you.
Bye.
We love you. Bye. Purple Friends is an independent podcast produced by Vibe Therapy Services and is not a substitute for a session with a real therapist.
Our show art was created by me, Jocelyn Lang.
And our theme music is Nature Nurture by me, The Implied Bear.
Vibe Therapy is an Illinois-based private practice servicing clients in person at our Wheaton office and virtually throughout the state of Illinois.
We accept Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, Aetna, and Cigna insurance. We also offer cash pay rates, financial assistance, and free 15-minute initial consultations where you can get a feel for our practice.
Think of it as a vibe check. Therapy doesn't have to feel clinical. Visit vibetherapyservices.com today to see if we vibe.